For 6 million years, humans lived in small, mobile groups where status was roughly equal. That changed when we stopped moving and began building. In the Mesopotamian city of Uruk, early settlers developed a way to harvest cereal grains like wheat and barley at a massive scale. The shift from hunting to farming was a physical trade-off. As we traded wild game for grain, the human body changed. The average height for men dropped from 5'9" to 5'3", and for women from 5'3" down to 5 feet. Organizing 50,000 people in one city created a logistical necessity. This birthed the social pyramid, a top-down structure where a massive peasant base provided the labor needed to support a tiny elite. To make inequality permanent, King Hammurabi ordered 282 laws carved into stone, establishing a noble's life as legally worth more than a slave's. He justified this through divine authority, positioning the king between gods and men. The hierarchy became a matter of faith. Civilization was an early trap. We gained the security of a stable food supply, but we placed the masses at the bottom of a rigid, inescapable hierarchy. In Egypt, this social pyramid reached its most extreme expression. The pharaoh was not merely a ruler, he was a living god. These pyramids served as physical proof of the system. They demonstrate a society where the labor of millions, farmers and stonemasons alike, was dedicated entirely to serving the spirit of one man. This logic was mirrored in China through the Mandate of Heaven. It was a tool that asserted only one virtuous ruler could hold power at any given time, provided they maintained the blessing of the heavens. For thousands of years, this defined the state of our species, a tiny elite using divine right to suppress the vast majority. As regional kingdoms grew into global superpowers, the ruling class had to find more efficient ways to bind millions of people to the hierarchy. In the East, rulers employed Confucianism to maintain order. By focusing on Li, or social rituals and manners, the philosophy encouraged every citizen to accept their duty and place within the state. In the West, religion was often used to redirect internal social pressures. Rulers could unite their populations by turning them toward a common external enemy, as seen during the Crusades. When ideology failed to prevent rebellion, empires reverted to pure, overwhelming force. Nomadic conquerors like the Mongols used the speed of their cavalry to enforce their will through total state violence. Machiavelli later summarized the logic of these empires. Because people are inherently fickle, it is safer for a ruler to be feared than to be loved. Fear became the essential mortar for the ancient social pyramid. It ensured the masses stayed in line through the constant, visible threat of the sword. This absolute grip finally faltered during the 14th century, when the Black Death swept through the world, killing up to 200 million people. The massive loss of life meant labor was suddenly scarce. For the first time, peasant workers had the leverage to demand more rights, as their ability to work the land became more valuable than the land itself. But soon after, another massive ideological shock arrived. The Protestant Reformation challenged the idea that the Church held absolute authority over the soul, further fracturing the old medieval order. These combined events proved that the social pyramid was not a divine constant, but a vulnerable system that could be challenged by both disaster and ideas. In 13th century England, the ruling hierarchy faced a different kind of threat, a legal rebellion. A group of barons forced King John to negotiate his own limits. The result was the Magna Carta. This document codified the idea that a king's power was not absolute, but subject to the law. It introduced habeas corpus, protecting individuals from being imprisoned solely on the crown's whim. This evolved into the first parliaments. Over time, the decision-making process began to shift away from a single man and toward a body of representatives. This established a new supreme authority, the law. For the first time since the first cities were built, the ruler was now legally subordinate to the rules of the state. In 1776, this struggle reached a final climax in Philadelphia. It was the moment the individual stood as a direct peer to the monarch. The Declaration of Independence asserted that rights are inherent to the individual and that governments only gain their power through the consent of those they rule. This challenged the core logic of the ancient social pyramid. Where power once flowed down from a divine ruler, it was now rising up from the people themselves. Human history is more than a list of kings and battles. It is the story of our long and difficult rebellion against the very hierarchies we built to survive.